Mr. Richard Wilmore.
Welcome. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Make Your Day Richer. Sit, relax. What a rowdy crowd. Welcome to the show. My guest, Branch Isole, is a writer, poet, and spiritual guide whose journey of reinvention began with his name change and a leap of faith. After leaving the corporate world, Branch embraced a new life rooted in creativity, reflection, and emotional truth. With 22 books and a weekly podcast called Patient Zero, he helps readers and listeners navigate stress, relationships, and spiritual growth. His poetry is concise, contemporary, and designed to meet people in their struggles and guide them toward clarity. Whether he's writing about love, loss, or the human condition, Branch invites us to see ourselves more clearly and live more freely. So if that sounds like a good show to you, click the like button, click the share button, and let's start the show.
Make your day richer than it was before. Got some good times knocking upon your front door.
Branch, good morning, and thank you for being here.
Good morning, Richard. Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to meeting you and being on your set.
Well, maybe next time you can actually be here in person. We'll figure that out somehow, and you can see what's happening around here. Before we really get into why you're here, I need to talk about your name, Branch.
Oh, okay.
That's your real name?
It's my real name. It's not my given name. No, I had a different name when I had a different life.
Okay. I was going to say, well, I want to know your parents' story and if you have siblings, but okay, I got it. Can I ask where that came from? Or what the significance of your name is for you?
Sure. Real simple. The first half of my life, I grew up like so many people, embracing the ways of the world and being successful and at the same time disappointed. And at midlife crisis, I decided I needed to change my life and my focus. And in that process, I decided I was going to change my name as well to make the whole complete package, a new identity, a new creation, and a new way to work and way to live in my world.
I love that. Have you always been creative, artistic? I mean, you've written over 20 books. Was that always kind of in you to do that, or is that new too?
Well, it's not new, but it went in conjunction with this new life. It just happened to be, the outlet that came to develop. But looking back on it, I was just an average student in school, involved in a lot of different things. So academics was part of it, but not the focus. And I never thought about, what I would be doing. But when I was in the corporate world, I was in sales and marketing, and we had to write sales presentations for our product line. And so that's how it started. And it grew from there. When I was a manager, then I had to write sales presentations for my sales reps. So I had that kind of mechanical grounding of writing. But I never thought about writing, and I certainly never thought about writing a book. But when I made that life change, I was compelled to write my first book for seekers and searchers of truth, because that's the journey that I had been on. And so the first book was written, and I thought, okay, well, that's it. I did it. And I was living in Hawaii at the time. And one day I was sitting out on a gazebo that we had that looked over the ocean to the big island, the island of Hawaii. And I thought, oh, what a frightening experience it would be to be lost at sea with very little chance of rescue, and all the things that would go through your mind, right, in those last hours or days. And from that came my first short story. And it just started flowing out, And so 25 years later and 22 books later, here we are.
Here we are. I know you do a lot of writing, a lot of poetry, correct?
I do. I
Can
do a
you
lot of
talk a little bit about how you got there, and I don't know, maybe some like myths around poetry, that everything has to rhyme, that there has to be, and how you write poetry.
Well, first of all, poetry is man's or humanity's original story process, right? They used to sit around the fires at night and talk about their lives and survival in caves and at that time. And so the way they taught each other was in short stories, right? So poetry is the original literary form of man. And it's such a great process because what you're trying to do as a poet is tell a complete story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. Usually that conveys a theme or a lesson or some moral or ethical dilemma, and you're trying to do it in as brief and concise a presentation as possible. And so that in itself is a challenge, but it's such a great process for both me as a poet and my readers as readers because it makes that emotional connection that storytelling is supposed to make. And, poetry kind of gets a bad rap today, or has for a long time. People think of poetry as this archaic form or Shakespeare or Blake or, people we are not familiar with today. And it's kind of poo-pooed or put to the side, right? It's just not a literary form that's embraced by a lot of people. People who love poetry really love poetry, but everybody else can take it or leave it. And their only exposure generally has been in high school, right?
Yeah.
But poetry is the only, and I have a book that's coming out about this. Poetry is the only literary form that you can do in 140 characters or less, right? So it's the perfect tweet literary version, and it's perfect for people who are, when you're reading a novel or something and you're on the bus or you're commuting or you have time, you have to stop and put the marker there and go to work or go on to your mission. Well, poetry, because it's short and concise, you can read it anywhere. In fact, most of my poems you can read in less than 2 minutes. So it's just a different form of expression.
Yeah.
And once people get into poetry, especially contemporary poetry like mine, some of my poetry rhymes, some of it doesn't, but it all has a purpose and a theme to take the reader from where they may be to where I want them to be and make it interesting along the way. A lot of my poems have kind of a twist at the end or uh, a change in the story of the protagonist or the antagonist, so that when people get to the end, they go, wow, I didn't even think of it that way. Or I wanted to be surprised so that at the end, everything comes together. But while they're on the journey, they may be enjoying the rhyming or they may be enjoying as the story is unfolding, but there's a purpose there. And I want them to be able to recognize the purpose. And so that's what my poetry is about.
I love that. After 22 books, who are you finding that is reading? Like, who's usually picking up your books? Like who out there should be like, I need to look up Branch right now.
People who are struggling in their lives, who think that they're going through something that only they're experiencing, relationship issues. I talk about a lot of different adult things: love, hate, revenge, sex, drugs, rock and roll. My poetry, my work is all geared towards adults, first of all. I talk about erotic things and situations that people get themselves in. So if you're in a situation right now where you're struggling and you think, why me? I've got myself into this hole of adversity, and how am I going to get out? Well, the stories are designed to let you know that you're not the only one. You're not the first one, and there is a way out.
That's so important. This is why I wanted to have you on this show. You mentioned that you had a book coming out soon. Can you talk a little bit about that and when it's coming out?
Well, I hope it's coming out soon. It's been in the works for a long time. My publisher and editor has been busy with other things, but I hope it's going to be out this spring. It's a follow-up to my very first book, which was called God, I Believe, which is a comparative study of the world's religions for the layman. Somebody says, well, I think I want to be a Buddhist. And say, okay, well, what's Buddhism about? And they go, well, I really don't know. So what this book does is it takes the world's 10 religions and belief systems and compares all 10 with the same 10 questions. So when somebody reads it, they can see the foundations of Buddhism, Islam, Judaism, Christianity, atheism. And so when you get done, then you can go, okay, well, now I know enough about this particular spiritual path that I want to go ahead and walk down that path. So that was my first book. The follow-up book, which is 25 years later, is called Breaking Free. And that's the one I hope will be out shortly. And it's a follow-up to that first one. So the first one is the foundation. Which path are you going on and why? And that's up to you. But the second one is, okay, now that you're on this particular path, you've got the basics. So what are you going to do with it in your life?
Wow. Well, I hope you come back when that book comes out so we can talk about that more. You've gone from writing to talking on your podcast, Patient Zero.
Yes.
Congratulations on that. Tell everybody about the podcast and what days it comes out.
Okay. It's every Wednesday evening tonight at 8:30 p.m. on Eastern time on Substack, on my Substack channel. And then it's immediately uploaded to my YouTube channel. And then tomorrow it will be uploaded to Apple and Spotify and, the other channels. It's about how to reduce stress, struggle, pressure, and conflict in your life. It's also about how to improve personal, career, and spiritual relationships in your life. And for some, interested people, it's about how we can prepare for the future from a spiritual path point of view. It talks a lot about prophecy, end times, last days. I originally, when COVID, I used to do a lot of in-person presentations. And when COVID hit, all of those, ended. So I got onto the podcasting and I was a guest. And during the COVID lockdown, I was on about 200 different podcasts, lots of variety. And then I was approached in 2022 by a company to produce a podcast of my own, which I did. And that was called Small Changes, Big Dividends. It's available on all the podcast channels, and it's 85 episodes. And it ended this last spring. And when I finally figured out all of the mechanics of putting together a podcast, we said, okay, well, now we'll do our own. And so that's when we launched Patient Zero, and episode 16 is tonight.
I love that. Love that. You brought a clip along, which I always love as a talk show host when I get to do this, because then it makes me feel like I'm really doing this for real when I get to go roll the clip. So tell everybody about the clip you sent.
Well, I sent a clip that talks about the most important thing in every relationship, but especially in developing and being in a healthy relationship. And that one important thing is trust.
There you go. It's called Patient Zero, Wednesday nights. Take a look.
Now, trust is that cross piece on your easel, the one holding up the picture of your life. Because trust is the essential support piece in every healthy relationship, at home, at work, in your neighborhood, in your community, wherever people exist and interact together. Without trust, your life's picture is never stable. With trust, your active confidence level can be fully functional. You see, every healthy relationship, whether at home or work, is built on trust. It's that simple. With trust, you have every possibility. Without trust, you soon discover you have nothing. Because when trust is broken, the chances of recovery are difficult, if not impossible. Why? Again, trust is the essential function at the heart of every healthy relationship.
What's the best way that people can connect with you? Like, how do people find you out there in the world?
Branchisole.com that's my website, and Branch Isole on YouTube. So just the name will get you to whatever I've posted on that particular channel.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. What do you love most about your life right now?
I'm truly blessed.
Hmm.
I made a change that was difficult and frightening, but I had gotten myself in a situation where I had no other choice. And although it was a literally 10-year trek, I managed to come out the other end. And so for the last 35 years, it's been lots of blessings, just lots of growth. So
I love that. Before we leave today, will you play? It's not even really a game, but will you play my game called Fave Rave?
Fave Rave, let's do it.
Yes. Okay, you're going to pick a number 1 through 5.
Okay, 5.
5. In here are a bunch of categories.
Okay.
I'm going to pick them out randomly, and you're going to tell me your favorite in that category, okay?
Okay.
5 of them. Ready?
Okay.
Your favorite car you've owned?
Volkswagen Bug.
What year was this?
1968.
Love it. Your favorite memory of the past week?
Well, my wife has been out of town taking care of some personal family business on her side of the family. So getting a message from her that she's on her way home.
Oh, we'll make sure that she sees this so she knows. Your favorite type of lighting?
Lighting. The sun.
Yes. Agreed. Number 4, your favorite pizza topping?
Anchovies.
All right, Branch, the interview is over after that answer. I can't take that. Okay, and last question. Your favorite actress?
Meryl Streep.
There you go. Well, if I was, I would be like, and she's here to tell you hello, but she's not. Branch, thank you so much for being on the show today.
My pleasure, Brother Richard. I appreciate the invitation, and if I can ever come back, I'm ready.
You know where to find. Just click that link. I'll probably be sitting here waiting.
All right, bud. Thank you so much.
Right.
Be
Thank
safe.
you so much. Yeah, you too.
Okay.
Branch, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a break and be right back after this. Don't go away. Life is difficult. Are you feeling overwhelmed or like you could use a little support for your mental well-being? Visit the Help Hub. It's the most comprehensive and inclusive free online destination for mental health resources, helpful tools, crisis hotlines, and supportive content. Just go to thehelphub.co to find the resources you need when you need them most. Unlike other resource pages, the Help Hub is divided into 16 different categories, ensuring that everyone in every community has access to the resources and support that matches their unique needs. Find the help you're looking for at thehelphub.co. Welcome back, everyone. Sometimes I'm the host, and sometimes I'm the guest. I was recently on the Kicking Cancer's Ass podcast with Joelle, who was on our show last season. She invited me on her podcast to talk about my history with cancer. It was a great interview. My dad told me he cried like 3 times while he watched it, and I want to show you a clip, so take a look. Okay. Kicking Cancer's Ass. I had a patient towards the end of my time there. I was in the art room and he was walking by, and I said, "Are you going home?" And he said, "Well, yeah, but I'm going home on hospice." So, and in that moment, like, what do you say to that, right? Like, he knows he's going to go home and die. And I just said, "Oh, that sucks." Like, Because it did.
Right.
Like, that sucks. Like, I can't make you feel better about that. And he said, yeah, it does, but I have a list of stuff I want to do with my kids before. And he was excited to go and do those things. And I thought, that's done. That's what it's about.
Right.
Like, it wasn't about me. Like, I can't make you feel better about going home to die, but he did. Like, he was still finding that little light of, I'm going to go home and make this worth it. Thank you so much, Joelle, for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. I always get so nervous when I'm a guest on a show because I feel like I have nothing good to say. So, will you watch it and tell me if I have anything good to say? On tomorrow's show, from the Waxhaw Community Theater, Allison will be here. They have a new show that opens on Friday. So, the lead, Allison, will be in the studio to talk all about that show that you can go see this weekend. How exciting, right? You know what else you can do? Buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/makeyourdayricher. It's how you can support the show. You get your name in the credits. I get to be excited and fall in love with you. It's very fun. But until then, go make your day richer. Go make somebody else's day richer. You've made mine by watching this show, and I love you for it. And we will see you tomorrow, everyone. Bye-bye.